I'm back. I am back at home, back in the States, back in Kansas. I've been back for a few days now, actually. I got back on Saturday and it's now Wednesday. I gave myself a few days to sort of get settled. Plus, I was super busy already when I first came in. Following day was Father's Day, and then I had a hair appointment. Obviously, I've been babysitting, started babysitting yesterday, and I'm babysitting again later today and Thursday and Friday and Sunday and pretty much every day this week. But yeah, I'm back. It feels really good. I was obviously pretty excited to get home. As much as I love my entire experience abroad, it was just beginning to feel like it was time to go home. I was worried that when I got home, it would feel good, and then a few days would go by and I would start to feel like something was missing or something was wrong or whatever. And so far that really hasn't been the case. It just feels like that chapter closed and this is where we are now, and in a few months I'll be moving back again to New Orleans and that'll be then. But it's just really nice to be back with my parents, and like I got to see my grandma yesterday and it's all great. I haven't really had any moments of feeling like sad or whatever, you know. It is a little bit strange when I think about the fact that like, oh, like I'll picture my room in Birmingham and be like, oh, I will never be there again. And that's just like weird, but it's not necessarily sad. Like everything just feels like it's the right time and that I took everything away from that experience that I could have. So now it's time to take what I learned from there and apply it to the rest of my life, my actual life. That being said, I wanted to talk a lot about sort of the things that I've learned since my time abroad. So something that my friend asked me to do was go back and look at the very first video I ever made for this series and talk about the fears I had and what I would tell her now. So I am going to do that. Here's the thing, is that like everyone keeps asking like, oh, you must be so excited. Like you must be just like out of your mind excited, which I am. Right now, the main feeling that I feel is complete fear. So like when I first went to school, I was very far away and it was like really, really hard. For the first like 3 months, I was so miserable because I was so lonely and I had such a hard time meeting people. I don't like meeting new people very much because I don't know how to talk to them. I tend to be really, really quiet. I don't really talk to people unless they talk to me first. So I'm really scared about that. I mean, the first thing that I talk about in that video is how scared I am that I won't make friends, that it's going to take me a while to make friends. And, you know, if I could go back and talk to myself 6 months ago, before I went on this journey, I would try and tell her that it will happen, and it'll happen sooner than you think it will. But I also know that I wouldn't listen to myself. If I were to go on another journey like this one in a few months, I'd be scared of the exact same thing. I think at least now I've learned to trust that I will meet people and that people will like me. I think for a long time I've had these insecurities of I'm not a good enough person or an interesting enough person or a whatever for people to want to be friends with. And I don't know why I've had that fear, because obviously that's not true. I have so many wonderful, wonderful friends who I am so grateful for. But, you know, we could dive into the psychology of why I'm like that, but let's not. But I think this journey really helped me to realize you are someone that people will want to meet. The first night I was there, I made friends with someone who I will be friends with for the rest of my life. And I think I would also just tell myself that you are going to surprise yourself with how bold you will be. You know, there will always be people in this world who are more outgoing, more extroverted, braver than me in that sense, but I really surprised myself with my ability to reach out to people and talk to people and meet people. But also on the flip side of that, I've become so comfortable with being by myself and doing things by myself. I was with a friend on the last day that I was in Birmingham, and he asked me what I think I've taken away from this experience. And there's a lot of little things, but I think the biggest thing is confidence. I think I say something about it in this. I'm hoping I come back feeling really comfortable with myself. That's been a journey, just my whole life, ever since high school. Just like learning to love myself and be comfortable with who I am. And I'm hoping that this trip reinforces the things that I've been starting to learn. So I said that I hope I come back from this trip finally being comfortable with myself. And that for sure is something that I have really struggled with my entire life, is feeling confident and comfortable and worthy and all of these things. And I'm really happy to say that I think this trip really finally helped me get there. I mean, there will always be things that I have to work on. Everyone will always have things they have to work on. But I think for maybe the first time in my life, I can truly say that I am happy with who I am. That may sound a little sad or whatever, but it's really not. I finally just feel comfortable being me, and I don't feel like I have anything to apologize for anymore. I think this trip and just meeting the people that I met and being able to do all these things on my own, I can finally walk into a room with the attitude of, I'm worth your time, I'm worth your love, your affection, I'm worth being noticed. I'm worth being noticed. And I didn't think that before. So those are probably some of the biggest things that I've taken away. My friend said, I want to know how Europeans treat foreigners and if it matched to Southern hospitality. And it's interesting because I didn't quite know how to name the difference until I came back to the States. So obviously people in the South are very friendly, kind of treat everyone like family. You walk down the street and people will smile at you and wave at you. In the UK, you don't have as many people who will just sort of smile at you in the street or anything like that. But one of the biggest differences that I've noticed is in customer service type places. So any sort of coffee shop or grocery store or retail shop, anything, workers are so incredibly polite to you. And I think in general, if you go up to anyone and talk to them in the UK, whether you're waiting for a bus and start talking to them or whatever, people are so polite. I think I mentioned this in one of my first vlogs, but I will never forget the first day that I was at the grocery store and I was trying to buy a lamp, and the woman was like, oh, I think you need to buy lights for this. I was like, oh, and I went and grabbed them and then they're the wrong ones and whatever. And she was so helpful and kind in trying to make sure that I had the correct product and everything that I needed. And she kept apologizing for trying to help me. And I kept thinking that everybody in the line would be so frustrated with me and that everyone would just be mad because I was wasting time. But it wasn't like that. Everyone was really kind and calm and understanding. Whereas I don't think the same thing would happen in the States, because I think people would be sort of rushed. That's sort of the difference. There's a bit more of, I feel a formalness in the UK. I think they have more of a sense of propriety. However, France is a whole different story. From the couple of times that I was in France, the French have no patience for anyone. Yeah, I would say that, both places have their own sort of kindness. They just have a different feel to them. So then Carrie asked me the difference between American fries and British chips, which is actually very interesting. So obviously we've all heard of fish and chips, which are fish and French fries. But what I've learned is chips are actually a more specific kind of French fry, what we would think of as steak cut fries, the really thick kind of fries that are often served in Britain in pubs or at chip shops or whatever. Whereas if they were to order fries from McDonald's or something like that, they would still call them fries and not chips. It's similar to, I learned, what we think of as cookies, they call biscuits. So any sort of sweet, crunchy, chewy, whatever would be called a biscuit. But they do have cookies but they specifically think of them as pretty much chocolate chip cookies. Those are cookies, or things sort of shaped like that or similar to that are cookies, and everything else is a biscuit, where we would still call all those things in the other category a cookie. So it's very interesting. But yeah, I'm super grateful for the time that I got to spend abroad, and I'm incredibly grateful for the friends I made. I have friends who will be my friends for the rest of my life. Jim and Rob and Katie and Serena and Aaron and Daryl and Cyril, you all helped to make my study abroad experience what it was. Without you guys, this wouldn't have been such a positive, uplifting, and meaningful experience. If it weren't for all of you guys, the things that I was scared of before I came over would have probably more or less been true. But you guys helped ease a lot of my fears, and you were there for me, and I'm going to miss you guys a lot. Some of you I've already said goodbye to a while ago and already have been missing a lot, but it's weird knowing that I don't know when I'll see you next, but I know it'll be someday, hopefully sooner rather than later. All in all, it's really, really good to be home, and I'm really excited to see what adventures await me this next semester at school, and hopefully to see how I can be different in that setting after going through this experience. For all of you guys who are watching and who have watched any of my other videos, thank you for caring at all and being at all interested. I have a lot of fun making these videos. I have fun editing them. I have fun filming them. I'm hoping to make some more stupid ones over the summer of whatever adventures I get into, but it just means a lot to know that people have actually been interested in what I have to say and what I've been doing, so thank you for that. And hopefully I'll see you again in whatever I do next. Sorry, that was gross.